they built on top.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
So for Einstein to get
we're in agreement.
what I'm saying is for Einstein to mathematically model the black hole, he accepts F equals ma.
It uses it a lot. Yes.
He has to use that. So in other words, he has to accept for him to start even modeling anything, he has to accept that F equals ma is objective. He has to accept that as objective. For him to then build a model on top of that principle, for him to point him to the direction that there should be black holes in our universe. If F equals ma exists, there has to be black holes in our universe. That is the mathematics that this gentleman came up with.
Are you getting it that Einstein had to go from Newtonian physics to the physics he now developed, which is
relativity.
Yes.
But
are you getting?
I'm not saying it subsists.
But when he got to relativity, he did not destroy F equals ma.
And I agree with it. I agree that one is built on top of the other. One is more complete than the other. One can talk about more of our reality and say more truths about it than the other.
More is exposing, more is making more sense of our reality than the other.
100%.
You see? So
it does not say it's not true.
Let me put it this way.
Yes.
Newtonian physics paints the physical realm. That's why we have physics. Paints the laws and the happenings in the physical realm to a particular degree. There is a degree still left in physical, empirical, objective reality that we are still discovering as we're going on. Remember that black holes, we are not supposed to allow anything to escape from them. Recently, we are now beginning to discover that there are Hawking's radiation.
100%.
Are you getting the point? So understand. So let's deal with clear matter.
But deal with my question first. I want you to deal with my question. That the apple fell on Sir Isaac Newton's head alone. That was a subjective experience. It was subjective. It was an opinion.
Yes.
But from that, he develops the second law of motion, F equals ma. Right? So how does he go from a subjective experience to an objective law? Because remember in the video last week, you were saying that we only have subjectivism and that we can only have opinions. But for someone to come up with a law of motion or any of the scientific laws, they have to have a presupposition that there is an objective understanding, there's an objective law to this universe. There's an objective way to comprehend the universe.
Can I add something to him?
Yes,
it's correct.
A lot of things, but yes.
No, this is it's a backup to what he's saying that is extremely vital.
Okay.
Now, all those objective laws are thrown to peers for peer review.
Yes.
So those objective laws have to be objective to several thousands of scientists.
1,000%.
So that it's not just subjective to the finder of the law. So it's no longer. Are you getting the point?
100%.
So you get my point. Continue.
And I concede for sure. But what I'm getting at is this Newton is a really interesting and cool guy, because you might know more about the history of physics in its whole. But what I'm saying is Newton is a really cool guy because he, in difference to Einstein, did not have a guy like Newton to stand on, right? On the shoulders of. But Newton still had a lot of science. 100%. I'm not saying it didn't, but I'm saying a lot of scientists, from what I've seen.
Okay. Copernicus, there are several other people.
There's lots.
It's like level to level.
Yeah, but you need to address my point I'm trying.
That's what I'm doing. So it's not only that it's not only his subjective reality. There's many subjective reality which he has based himself on, which themselves have gone into publishing papers, which have been proven by many other people.
Proven to be what?
To make more of an objective assertion. Again, very difference between making a completely truth claim to an objective assertion. Like, I don't know the wording, maybe I'm missing the words to describe what I'm saying.
I think you need to understand what the word truth claim is.
Exactly.
That you see, that word, you are using the word truth claim.
Yes.
Truth claim has to have some kind of level of empiricism to it. Are you getting it? Reality to it, as in empiricism, reality. I think I can almost exchange them back on. Are you getting the point?
No, but that's what I mean. It's
so
hard
if I did something very rude now, if I went to you and I still have to go,
yes,
it's a very empirical fact. You felt it.
Yes.
There are many people around here who witness it and jump on me that I injured a gentleman. I'm being very crude and basic now.
Yes.
So you can have a what you might call, somebody discovered something, and you think it's subjective. It's not subjective anymore.
Atheism.
Yes.
It's not subjective anymore. If there is peer review that confirms that so-called objective reality, which I discovered, he discovered, or you discovered, is now peer accepted. You understand? Peer, you know what peer review is?
No, 100%, and I agree with you. But we discussed before that how models are that which tries to, it's models it's that is trying to get to reality, right?
Say that again.
Models are not reality itself. Scientific models are not reality itself. They're the things.
How do you distinguish between a model and reality?
That's a better question for
You tell them the
a scientist.
beautiful things.
But a model
I'm asking you.
is approximation.
Listen, they will
Okay,
still
and reality is
do not waste your
Is that
time
which
with
the approximations are trying to understand or get to?
Are you experiencing reality?
Sorry.
Go do your thing. I am shouting. So this is the reason why, sir. It doesn't make
So
sense.
do you think you can go just
Don't be offended.
like just a bit loud?
Go on, continue.
Hey, sorry. Go to the sorry.
Are you experiencing reality?
Subjectively, yes.
Subjectively.
So the code you, me, and him are feeling right now is subjective. No.
Now experiences.
So everything. In other words, so that's what I'm saying. Everything that you're saying that you experience is completely subjective.
My perspective, by definition, is a subjective perspective. It is.
So to you, there's no such thing as objectivity.
There is, by being a subject, and you agree with me, because in all science papers you have to define the biases. There's always going to be a bias in everything you write and in everything you claim. There's going to be scientific bias. For example, we can make models of gravity, like the apple.
Yeah, but for us to make a model,
give me 1 second.
Okay.
Apples falling from a tree. We make the models. We have the theory of relativity, F equals ma, all of that, and we can record the apple fall as many times, and we can make a study based on that and how it follows a certain force, 9.8.
So what would be a bias?
So the bias.
Please, I want to get rid of this bias issue. What would be a bias in that experiment?
The bias is the many biases.
Give me two.
For example, the faultiness of the tracking app that you're using, the software.
One.
That's one. The other one could be the lighting. Maybe the lighting, it's not about the software. It's not about the bias that the software has. It's about the bias that, I don't know, if the apple is hit better from up, the light is coming from above.
None of those biases stops the experiment from being objective. None of those biases. Even you could be looking at the fact that you are ignoring resistance to air resistance.
This is where I think science is really cool, because the more numbers you have, the less subjective and the more objective it is. But
no. That's still a problem. We've got a problem there, because when you're saying more numbers, you're talking about if they repeat the experiment many times, right? You're saying if they have more evidences, if they repeat it many times, then in other words, it reduces the amount of faith they need to or the amount of faith they need to exercise on the conclusion, right? That's what you're saying.
Sorry to gatekeep the word faith, but I'm talking about bias specifically.
Define bias then. What do you mean by bias?
Bias is that which contaminates the studies. Am I right?
Yeah, or makes it inaccurate.
Makes it inaccurate. So
what's the bias with Newton then?
No. So there's models, and then you have those experiments.
Can you have bias when
really good, but it is used to make experiments which themselves have bias.
Can the person constructing the model have bias?
Sorry.
The person who's constructing the model, can they have bias? Before you even get to the experiment, do you have bias when you're constructing the model, or is it objective there when they're constructing the model?
There is bias in everything. Yes.
Okay, if there's bias in everything, then you're saying there's no objectivity. That's what you're saying.
No, in every human claim and everything we say, there is bias.
So you're saying there's no, in other words, that's what I'm saying. Are you saying that there is no objectivity?
Because there's bias.
Not that a human can claim, yes. I don't think a human can say this is reality without having bias.
So you can't say right now that you are standing, objectively.
I would say I am, yes I am.
Okay, based on what?
But I still have bias because I have my experience and my intuition,
So,
and my worldview which influence my bias.
But don't you understand that, I said it in the other video, don't you understand that your worldview starts from a position of basically a lacking. You're saying that there's no objectivity, and then you place faith on that lack of objectivity to get to a place of I'm standing now, right? There's no, sorry. What I'm saying is, I'm going to try and explain something to you. Christians have a worldview, right?
Yes.
So you know the thing about the minds that we were talking about before? You see, we have to either believe that we have a mind or we don't have a mind. There is no 90%. It's either you have one or you don't. So the Christian says, okay, I think therefore I am. That's René Descartes. Cogito ergo sum. I think therefore I am. But there's an issue there, because when we start thinking about logic and reasoning, the person who has a mind is like, wait, I'm engaging and I'm doing logical things that are independent of me. I am accessing a tool. So if I'm say I think therefore I am, that makes my mind objective. And now my mind is using these tools that are independent of me. That makes those tools objective. So the laws of logic have now become objective. There's an issue there now. Because once I die and I go to the ground, the laws of logic still operate. In other words, math still works, gravity still works, the world keeps spinning. So that means that the framework at which the universe is working to still occurs, right? So regardless of my subjective opinion, right? There's still an objective reality that's occurring, that has an objective standard, an objective law that is following, and logic in which we are able to then model. We model based on a logic, right? That the whole universe is following.
Sorry, you can finish.
Okay, is following, right? So now that we've established that there is a logical, the laws of logic are independent of me, we can then see, and we have observed, like I said, with Einstein and his black hole, he had a mathematical model that was 100 years before we imaged it. We can see that these laws are working everywhere in space, so they're omnipresent and they're eternal. They don't change. For us to understand history before any humans were here, so scientific history, to understand anything of the past, we have to admit that the laws of logic are independent of us and also eternal, and I would say as well omnipresent. Just trying to finish. So that means that these tools that we are using, right, to understand our world happens in our mind, which is immaterial. So that's now two immaterial things, where one is finite but the other is infinite, in the sense of it's eternal, it's omnipresent. We need to find a source for these logical laws. The only source that fits this worldview of coherency is God, which is a mind, right? God will have to be the independent mind in which the laws of logic, which is the source of the laws of logic, and which is the source of also the material. Without that, your worldview is incoherent, because you will not be able to tell me where anything objectively comes from. Or you could say you would have to stand in or sit in your subjectivism, and you won't be able to make any statement. Like I said in the video before, you can't actually believe you're communicating with me unless you believe on a logical law of the law of identity.
Two things. You said a lot of things.
Fair enough.
So allow me to say a lot of things as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
My worldview.
Yes.
Very similar to yours. Like René Descartes, starts from the belief of I think, therefore I am.
Okay.
It's just that the weight that we put. First of all, I really like the René Descartes. It's been a little while since I've read René Descartes. But where he starts is, how can we? Is there anything we cannot doubt? That's what he says. We can doubt God because we can doubt our dreams because in our dreams we blah blah blah. We can doubt even reality itself because I could be crazy, or we can doubt. So he goes into a list of things we can doubt, and ends with one thing he thinks we cannot doubt. And I am
himself.
in a very agreement. The fact that he thinks, not himself, the fact that he's thinking.
That's himself.
Maybe, if you want to put it like that. But I don't.
Who else is thinking but himself?
Because maybe himself is made out of a body or whatever. But like he's just talking about the fact that there's something that is thinking, and that is himself, which is thinking. So the only proof he has, the only thing he cannot doubt, is that he thinks, therefore he is. Right?
That's an assertion.
And that's where I come with. I am doubting everything, and I'm, for the sake of this conversation, to not repeat the same thing we did from the last time, I can say with 100% certainty that I think, therefore I exist. Yes, I do believe that.
Okay, so then that's why I said, now we talk. If you say you then are asserting that you do 100% have this immaterial mind, you think therefore you are.
Yes, but wait, let me finish. Like I said, you said a lot of things. So yes, I think therefore I am, but with a caveat, which is doubt everything. You, as a thinking thing, still cannot be sure of anything in it of itself. So assume you can always be wrong. The same way I can always be wrong about if God exists or not.
But are you? But the thing is, are you wrong? Can you ever be wrong about your own mind?
Thinking, therefore being.
Yeah, that I think, therefore I am. Can you be wrong about that? Either you're right or wrong. Either you have a mind or you don't. We need to start somewhere.
I think, therefore I am. Yes, I am.
So you have a mind.
I am, but that mind is a different thing. But okay, yes. If you want to associate the mind with being the thing that thinks and therefore is, yes, I do have a mind.
Right. That thing that thinks and therefore is not matter. It can't be.
I don't know.
Hey.
No, it can't be.
No, I don't know. Again, this is where I was getting at. We doubt everything, and that.
For René Descartes to say, I think, therefore I am. He's thinking.
It's interesting because if you ask me genuinely, I do think that is one of the only things it's not material. Yes.
Right. So now, now you're saying that the mind is immaterial.
Which is such a very 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 rare thing because I'm experiencing and I'm with the bias that I'm experiencing it. So my experience of reality and me saying that I have a mind is super biased to the fact that I have a mind. This is where the circular thinking happened last time. Which
No.
You have a mind.
For the sake of this debate, yes. Conversation.
Okay. So you start with the mind, right? So basically now we're asserting that your mind is objective. That's what we're asserting initially.
Okay.
Right? Now there are things that your mind uses, which are the laws of logic. Those are tools, right? If your mind is objective, then the tools that you use, which is logic, that has to be objective too, right?
That is, those tools are the things I use to build my worldview.
Yeah. So is the laws of logic, are they objective?
I try to use as many laws of logic to make my worldview. Yes.
Right. Where do those laws of logic come from?
Experience. Yes.
Experience.
So.
Stop.
No, wait. Okay. No, so if it's experience,
yes.
Right? Are you saying that once you stop experiencing, do the laws of logic disappear?
Good point.
The laws of the experiencing person, the laws of logic of the experiencing person.
Yeah.
If they stop experiencing,
do the laws of logic disappear? Do they not exist?
No longer exist.
The laws of their very personal experience, yes, they stop existing.
For them, yes.
Yeah.
But do the laws themselves, do they stop existing? Because from what I understand, we have all seen people die on this earth. They have stopped experiencing the laws of logic on themselves. But we haven't. But the laws of logic have not disappeared.
Look, I really
So that's
like
what I'm
you
asking.
said, because there's a point here. The laws of logic
Yep.
is that which we use as human rational beings. Maybe not only humans. Maybe if humans stopped existing.
What's a rational being?
A rational being is that sorry.
What is a logical
That
being?
which uses logic. A being that uses logic.
Okay,
That has a subjective-
if a being uses logic, that means that logic has not come from the being. They're using something that's outside of them.
Yeah, experience.
No, it can't be experience.
Oh, why not?
The experience is analyzed by the logic. Are you getting
Exactly.
it? You experience something from outside. You logically, it's like a stimulant.
We go back to Sir Isaac Newton.
I think
Hey, Sir Isaac Newton had an experience.
yeah.
Yes.
The apple fell on his head,
Yeah.
right? But he came up with an objective law of F equals ma from the apple fall on his head.
He
Why did he
applied-
not?
Yes,
Why did he not come up with a mathematical model that actually said that this is what happens when an apple falls on my head? Why did he say that this is what happens to when apples fall, regardless of whether I'm there or not there?
But I think this is a problem.
No.
The logic is a subjective
I-
tool. It's
wait.
not an objective tool. It's a subjective tool.
Then it's not logic anymore.
I disagree.
Then it's not logic. Then it's opinion.
There is no
It's
one
not
to
logic
use
anymore.
logic if there's no subjective people to use that logic. Do you agree with me?
Wait a minute. Logic only
No,
makes
we would
sense.
disagree.
Logic only makes sense if logic in itself exists as a clear mode of thinking, a clear mode of applying our thinking. If logic just was everybody has their own logic, then it's no longer logic.
but
Then it means there's no clear logic.
But
everybody.
Are you going to
It's
answer
an
my question
opinion.
about Newton?
I'm sorry, can I?
Go on. It's an opinion then, it's no longer logic.
Yeah, but everybody, depending on their experience, develops their own kind of logic. Of course, a lot of them are very similar because they are lived experience from a lot of different people. Like many people experience similar things, and therefore their logic developed in a similar way. Therefore, we can agree on a lot of things, like gravity. We agree on gravity because we all experience it.
No. So was gravity in effect before there was any human to experience it?
Thank you.
Based on what?
Gravity.
Based on what?
As a word and as a definition and how one explains it happened.
Was the phenomenon of gravity, that mass bends space and time, was that real? Was that in existence before any human experienced it?
yes, but it raises a really cool question.
You're not answering my questions,
No,
guys.
yes, I said yes. I said
Yes.
Yes. Aha.
yes.
Good.
But
So you believe in
this is a
objective-
really cool thing.
So there is an objective reality.
Let me guess. Let me just explain why I'm saying yes.
Ah, yes. Good. Welcome home. Finally.
So yes, but my answer is logic is that which we use to arrive to those reality things.
to assess reality.
To make those reality claims, or at least approximations, models of reality. That is logic, yes. But there's there is the reality itself, and then there's the tool that subjective beings use to approximate reality, and that is logic. Do you know? Do you see where I'm going?
No. So I'll try and explain it. Okay, go ahead.
One thing, maybe this can explain this. Empathy. Empathy is a thing.
This is
it's
moral.
a subjective thing.
That's okay. This is moral. This is a different claim.
No.
You're changing from.
No, because you're not letting me finish.
Go on, finish.
Empathy is that tool, and you can disagree with me, but just for the sake of this conversation, follow me. Empathy is
a
a tool we can use to put ourselves in other people's shoes.
Define empathy. If it's a tool, because I
The
can define.
ability of a subjective being to be able to try to experience and understand other subjective beings' realities.
Is that an objective definition of empathy?
Maybe I'm wrong, but that's
No, I'm asking you. Are you asserting? Are you asserting? Are you asserting that as an objective definition of empathy? Because if you're saying it as objective of a definition of empathy, you'll be able to point out between what is the right way to exercise empathy and the wrong way to exercise empathy.
No,
is there
I'm
such
not
thing as a
saying
right way to
I'm not saying there's any right
or wrong way?
or right way. No. I'm just saying that.
So that
my
means
definition-
definition of empathy disappears. It doesn't exist.
No, I disagree with you.
No,
Completely.
if-
I don't know
no,
why
if you're saying-
dismissing my definition of
No, but,
empathy.
no, but if you're, I can, because you're not giving one. If you're saying,
just did.
No, the definition.
if the, is there, sorry,
The definition for empathy that he gave and that I agree upon is that the ability to imagine other people's situations and
Put yourself in.
picture yourself in their shoes,
Yeah, like that, just
imagine
that.
their experience.
where do you get that definition from?
It's our definition.
Why is that the definition of why?
definition.
As of right
But
now,
if
that's
so,
the one I could
and if
give you.
someone else says that that's not what empathy is, what do you do then?
Well, tell me your definition of it. Do you agree with that definition?
I don't have to agree with it. It doesn't matter. Let's say that, I don't know, empathy means sitting down. What now?
Well, then we can't speak and use empathy in the same way. Like we can't.
So
we can
There
talk
is
about
a
empathy.
clear objective
So there's an
meaning to
object. Exactly. Are you?
That's why
In
it's
other
trying
words,
to
what?
guide
That's
you
what I'm
to
saying.
No.
understand.
This is where we disagree a lot. There's no. I'm sorry. I love you.
I love you too. I love you too.
But I think at the end of the day, why we are here is to discuss things and
No,
exchange ideas.
remember you said at the end of your video, you said why we are here. So what is the reason that we are here? Is there an objective reason why we are here?
discuss things and share experiences and
Is that
and give
objective?
arguments.
Is that objective?
It's very subjective because.
So in other words, there's no reason why we should be standing in this park today.
No, there are
Why?
many
There's
different.
no reason. Any reason.
No, there may be many different reasons which are all subjective, but there is no hold on, wait. No, wait.
To know more people.
But you have to acknowledge that if you come from a place of pure subjectivism, if that's even a word, if you come from a place that's completely opinionated, that's just from the subject's view, you have to acknowledge that is meaningless.
I think that's your worldview, and you're trying to put that worldview
No,
on reality.
it's not, excuse me.
And I disagree. It's not logical.
It is not a worldview. You know the reason why it's not a worldview?
I know you wouldn't see your worldview as a worldview.
Oh,
that's,
no.
That's the basis of a worldview. It's we see worldview as
To live in this physical world, there are some, whether we like it or not, whether we have differences of opinion, there are some practical, objective, we've mentioned experiences and
universal experience.
universal experiences and
universal experience.
practical, objective approaches to life. Every human being has to approach it. For example, you have to keep warm
Yes, I know.
because everybody here, we are different subjects, but we are cold whether we like it or not. The weather is objectively getting closer to 0 degrees centigrade.
Yes, but what I'm saying is.
Wait, let me make sense better. So there are objective realities. Do you agree that there are objective realities?
So
That's,
any objective claim
I
that you made.
asked a straight question.
Are you objectively experiencing?
Is there
No.
objective reality?
No, I think that's against the definition of experience.
If you're not-
Experience is subjective.
I think
Sorry to interrupt.
I think there is an objective reality, but the way we experience it is the way we experience is very subjective because there might be people who come from a very cold place, so for them, it getting colder feels very different than for people.
The people in Antarctica, what's in Antarctica, or the Eskimos, Inuits, don't they still dress warmly?
Sorry, can I?
Here?
Right,
Don't they still dress
please
warmly?
Allow the lady to finish. Let's allow the
Can
lady.
So good.
Allow the lady
Okay,
to
so
finish.
we all collectively experience it getting colder, but the way how cold it feels for ourselves is very different from
Yeah,
one another.
I agree.
Because there are people who come from very cold places, and for them it's like Yeah, well, it's not that cold. It's just a little
Yeah,
cold.
I'm in shorts.
And there are people who come from a very hot place.
Yeah.
For them, it's like, oh my god, this is so cold. So that's very subjective. We universally can agree that it's it's getting colder. But we all also have to acknowledge that we experience how cold it is differently.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So in other words, if I was sitting with Isaac Newton under the tree and the apple fell on my head, maybe I would have screamed in pain and said, "This apple has damaged my head."
It's too heavy.
And he would have said, "Oh, the apple fell on me, didn't feel that bad." But what he will mathematically model is that F equals ma. That is an objective experience that has happened to both of us. The apple has fallen regardless of whether we are there or not. And when he does that on the presupposition that the laws of logic are objective, eternal and consistent. That's the only way maths works.
You get that?
But still,
Please listen to
Do you
her.
get that?
She's making progress.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's it.
He was like, okay, this is objectively a law, but he himself is a subjective person. He experiences that, and the way what he comes away with from that experience is, as you said, very different from what someone else
No,
might
it may
come
be
away
different in
with.
feeling, in the sense of, in the sense of
what they take away from it. That can be very different, and that's very subjective.
Yeah, but that's the I understand that I may feel in pain because the apple has damaged my head, and he may feel like this is nothing. However, there is an objective experience that we've shared in which F equals ma. That is something that he has calculated based on the laws of logic being consistent and eternal. Right? That's the only way. So that's why we're asking these consistent, eternal, and I would say omnipresent laws of logic, for you to then frame F equals ma, even though we have different subjective experiences. How do you do that? Where does that come from? Because we will ground that worldview in God, because that is a mind that is eternal, consistent, omnipotent, independent. We can ground a coherent worldview in which the laws of logic, which are immaterial, eternal, and consistent, can come from.